Look, I mean, a lot of people are in on Texas right now. We talked about it on Monday. Even though their schedule hasn't been uber challenging, they've looked very balanced. They didn't seem to skip a beat with Arch Manning in there offensively. They bring back Quinn Ewers. All signs point to this being an opportunity for Texas to stake its claim as the best team in the country, while Georgia needs to make a statement maybe for, and I know Kirby Smart's not going to care about this, but in the eyes of the AP poll voters, which I don't think they have eyes after seeing the AP poll a couple, weeks in a row now. But anyways, I digress. Your thoughts on this game, maybe some of the key matchups, and I mean, what are Georgia's chances? Like, what does Georgia have to do? I mean, obviously play better defense on the back end, I feel like would be a good start.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's where my eyes are going to be on the back end of each of these defenses and how Georgia's offense is able to attack a Texas defense that has not played a quarterback like Carson Beck. I heard a stat today in the power conference opponents they've played. They played a former walk-on making his second career start, and 2 true freshmen. They've not played a preseason Heisman Trophy contender like Carson Beck. They've not played a team as talented as Georgia is. And so I am very curious to see that in the way that Georgia tries to attack offensively. I think that second half of that Alabama game on, Carson Beck has been a different type of player, and this offense has looked differently. They've been much more comfortable passing it than they are running it. I think that'll continue to be the case, especially when you look at the running backs that they have. They don't have bruisers. They've got more versatile backs like Nate Frazier, like Trevor Etienne. Those 2 guys are going to be big, especially with Branson Robinson out after an MCL sprain. So I think that, Georgia is going to continue to try to throw the ball. I think Texas is smart to try and throw the ball on Georgia because the back end of this Georgia defense is struggling. We saw it against Alabama. We saw it against Mississippi State. And at times we saw it against Auburn. And so, to me, I'm watching these cornerbacks for Georgia, Dalen Everett, Julian Humphrey, Daniel Harris. Can Ellis Robinson crack the lineup, 5-star freshman? What does Janelle Aguero do at that star position? I feel good about Georgia's safeties. They've been really strong there with Malachi Starks, Dan Jackson. You can maybe make the case that Dan Jackson is the better of the 2 right now, and that says a lot because Malachi was an All-American last year. But I think that this game will be decided by how these past defenses play.
Yeah, no, I like that. Will's dying. The comments section. Don't even look at it, Paul.
Perfect timing.
Okay,
perfect timing.
The whole roster. Yeah, Jonesy's actually Ralph, and Ralph's producing under a different name. I guess that's what that is. Palmer, back to you because I know we got to get you out of here. We got to get you out of here and get ready for this show. So let's get one more thought from you, and then Will and I will kind of take it over here from the Georgia-Texas perspective. You mentioned, a lot of different factors there. Running back room, you got to find something dynamic and healthy. And, Ralph, you can just keep loading those boxes over there, UPS pal. Bottom line, is it crazy to think, I know it's a 5-point spread, but I feel like people are trying to make me feel crazy for saying Georgia's going to go win this football game. Like, is that nuts?
My gut says Texas wins this game. And I honestly couldn't tell you the last time that I picked against Georgia on our site. Might have been that national championship game in 21, but I might not have done it then. I will be picking Texas when our predictions come out on Friday. And, I think that just it's less about Georgia and more about Texas. I think that this is a really good team. I think that these are 2 really good teams. I think that, we're talking about, I don't know that Georgia fans really came into this season fully comprehending how difficult this schedule is because they had to go to Alabama. They had to go to Texas. They still have to go to Ole Miss later this season. They got Tennessee, obviously Clemson, in the opener there. And that win is looking better and better by the week. And so I would pick Texas here. I think that Georgia has a big opportunity to make a statement, but I would say that Texas, as big of an opportunity as Georgia has to make a statement, I think Texas has that same opportunity to really solidify themselves as the top team in the country and solidify themselves as the top team in the SEC.
Palmer, I actually released a playoff projection just heading into week 8. I don't know if you saw this, but I had Georgia in the playoff, and I will spoil that. I think Texas wins this football game. Am I crazy for thinking a 10-2 Georgia team is in the playoff, wins over Ole Miss and Tennessee? Maybe they
No,
don't make it to
I
Atlanta.
think a 10-2 Georgia team is probably looking at like a 7 or 8 seed hosting a home playoff game.
Yeah,
And that's where my projection would be for Georgia right now.
I got you. Palmer Toms on 3. Dogs HQ does a fantastic one. Albert Scott says pick whomever the money is not on. That's because we suck at betting, and so whatever money we put on, Albert's taking the opposite. We appreciate it. Palmer, thanks so much for tuning in, though, brother, or not tuning in, hopping in and talking and riling up this fan base more than they needed already here on a Wednesday evening.
I'm good for it.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much. That's Palmer Toms. All right. We appreciate Palmer tuning in. Will, let's get to kind of our thoughts on this game. I like what Palmer said. Like, there's a lot of questions for Georgia heading into this into this game. And I was talking with some of the LSU beat writers. I'm like, well, tell me why Georgia can't win it. Well, this, that, but like, man, it's still Kirby Smart. It's still a talented roster. And I think there is a little bit of truth. Look, I'm picking Texas. I think there's a little bit of truth, though, to the fact that Texas hasn't been tested by a passing game like Georgia. Now, for everything that Georgia can't do in the run game at times, they can do in the passing game. It hasn't been clean, but if Carson Beck's clean, I mean, we talked about this on Monday. Like, if the Joker throws for 375 and 3 or 4 touchdowns and he doesn't throw a pick, that's doing a couple things. Well, it's might win you the football game. It might put you back on the track to go to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and it might shoot your name back up the draft boards.
Yeah, but for me, the problem is Georgia's defense. I mean, it does not look like a Kirby Smart defense. And we've talked about it a lot of times. I think they severely lack star power. That's been the difference maker for them the last couple of years on both sides of the ball, but this year, especially on defense, they don't have necessarily that elite pass rusher. They don't necessarily have that lockdown corner, that guy that you do not throw to his side of the field. I don't think they have it this year.
The closest one's going to be Malachi Starks, and he's a great player.
Exactly.
He's going to be a top 32 pick. I do agree. They don't have. They were so spoiled with that front seven that they had. They don't have that guy. Michael Williams could be it. Jalen Walker can be that guy. It just hasn't been. Bottom line to me, it hasn't been consistent enough. But back to your thoughts.
Yeah, and like you mentioned it on Monday, they're really missing Tate Ratledge up front on that offensive line. Really missing him. That's been really the bulk of their problems on offense. I think it is not having him in there. When this line came out at Texas -3, I love Texas at that number, but now it's creeped up to 5. I don't know. I don't know that Texas is gonna cover this. I think Texas definitely wins. I think this is going to be sneaky. I think this is, and I'm kind of going against myself. If you gamble, they say don't be afraid to fade yourself, and I think I'm fading myself a little bit here. I think it's going to be a tight game, might be low scoring a bit.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Will? Did we lose you? You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you completely froze on me there for a second. So restart.
It's Pete Gate in full force. This Joker just jumped up here and laid on my laptop. So I'm surprised he didn't shut the whole thing down. So we'll take it.
I like it. You want to wrap the thought up, or did you want to revisit it, or just don't even worry about it?
I guess you didn't hear my last part. I think Georgia.
No, I didn't hear the last point. I'm sorry.
We lost his thought. Okay. I think Georgia can cover this 5. I think it's this. We might be surprised. Might be a low scoring game. You think 2 high powered offenses is going to be a lot of points. I'm kind of fading myself here. I love Texas when this line opened at 3, but now it's creeped up to 5. I don't love Texas so much. I think Georgia going to cover this, but it's going to be close. Maybe like a 3 or 4 point game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I am taking Texas to win close. I think Georgia. I'm interested where this line ends up. That's something I'm very interested to see. Does it creep up more? Does it come back down to 4? Does it hit at 4.5? Are we going to sit straight at 5? But I'm taking Texas to win, Georgia to cover. But I will say this. We're going to find out if the stats defensively for Texas are just a mirage or if this is a really, really good Texas defense. If they win this, I mean, they're a pretty dang good football team, and they deserve to be number one. But God knows what the AP poll voters will do. I mean, they don't even know what they're doing.